Hi, this is the BlueMoon Garden. This garden is located in Zone 7B in Normandy, France, and it's quite a young garden. I've been gardening here for a few months, and I'd like to share the creation and the evolution of this place with you. Since my favorite color is obviously blue, I thought it would be fun to start with plants that are blue. Blue foliage, blue flowers. Of course, blue foliage is not true blue. It's generally like a silvery grayish blue. And flowers can be really blue, true blue flowers. And we'll talk about these at the end of the video.
I've been chasing beauty and pain to go, but I found the real me in clouds of smoke, and I had a revelation. I should really have more patience, but then I look at the time and I notice I'm behind.
Let me first introduce the home and garden supervisor, Waku. Very exacting on the plants he wants or doesn't want to be planted, they have to be pre-approved to enter the garden. I definitely had no choice but to plant a good amount of catmint to please him. This is Nepeta faassenii Purrsian Blue, with its greyish foliage generally indicating that plants are drought-resistant once established. A great neighbor for all Nepetas with a blue hint in the foliage is Alchemilla mollis, with airy light yellow flowers that beautifully complement the light mauvey blue of the catmint. I know many won't see any blue in these leaves, but I discovered we all have a very different sensitivity to colors, so don't worry, it may just be me seeing it on the blue side. Alchemilla mollis is one of those plants who, given the right space and soil, will surprise you, growing far larger than what the tag says. I have planted a dozen alchemillas here and there in the garden. For their reliable personality, for the magic they make, holding raindrops on their velvety leaves. As a child, I thought they were diamond pearls seen from afar, and until now, I don't touch the droplets in an intent to keep the illusion intact. They're also an amazing filler in bouquets. And among the numerous alchemillas I installed, this one seems to be the happiest, even competing with her shameless neighbor, the lamb's ears Stachys byzantina, big ears. When I say shameless, I don't mean that the lamb's ears is an uncontrollable thug, just that it will definitely use all the space it's given. It's an invaluable plant for its bluish-gray color, soothing the atmosphere and creating a link between other more colorful plants. It will melt at first frost, becoming somewhat slimy, so you may want to shear it just before that, and it will grow back from scratch in the spring, reaching dimensions that will always surprise you. Another interesting and very elegant color is that of the delicate silver bush leaning on the lamb's ears here. Santolina, chamaecyparissus, Lambrook Silver. This Santolina is really a must-have in any garden, and I'll tell you why, but first, you need to know that I garden on a wet, heavy clay soil, which is quite the opposite of the dry, draining soil Santolinas normally go for. Now, what do I love about this plant? The very delicate foliage, looking like a silver jewel, the rounded habit that demands nothing but a radical haircut above the lower sprouting leaves at the beginning of the spring. The aromatic scent, delicious to humans and deterrent to pests, the unbelievable health, and of course the subdued color that will go with any other plant and add a touch of class to your color scheme. If you love these silvery blues but are looking for an evergreen, search no further than this Hebe pinguifolia Sutherlandii. An amazing little ball that requires no maintenance whatsoever and will bring structure to your garden even during the winter. Hardly higher and wider than 1.5 feet, it will also ensure a discreet and clean background for your front border bulbs or corms. Whether plants are blue or purple is often controversial in the gardening world. However, Geranium Rozanne is generally considered a blue geranium. This plant is a beautiful lady, arriving late at a dinner to make sure she won't go unnoticed. She only started to show off in June, but you can be sure she'll dance till the end of the party, even staying to wash the dishes after everyone is gone. Once she starts flowering, she'll bloom her head off until it freezes, accompanying and hiding the unsightly bases of the asters. A family of flowers that count many blue performers is that of irises. Whether you prefer the frilly and showy irises germanicas, as this Iris germanica Acoma, whose preference is a rocky soil on the dry side, or whether you like the dainty yet thirsty sibiricas, as this Iris sibirica Persimmon, who thrives in my wettest borders, there is no doubt you'll find a blue iris to accommodate you and your garden if you live in a temperate or even a very cool climate. There is a true blue flower for almost every season, and the first one that pops out in my garden is the Iris reticulata harmony, blooming as early as February, shortly followed in March by Hyacinthus orientalis, blue star, with their gradient of blue shades from the tip to the end of each bell. Together with them comes Muscari armeniacum Night Eyes and Anemone coronaria Mr Fokker, that contrasts so beautifully with the daffodils. At the beginning of May, another true blue favorite is the Brennera. I grow 3 cultivars: Brennera macrophylla Jack Frost, Jack of Diamonds, and Alexander's Great. Honestly, I find them quite similar, but Alexander's Great is said to have the biggest leaves. Not only will they bring the sweetest blue shade to the border with their tiny spring blooms that look so much like forget-me-nots, but they will also do a terrific job hiding the decaying leaves of spring bulbs, since they are the earliest perennial to develop large concealing leaves in my garden. The month of May will also see the extraordinary blooms of the ceanothus. This one was already here when we arrived, so I couldn't tell you which variety it is. It thrives on this southwest-facing wall and seems to be perfectly hardy in our Zone 7B. You'll notice the buds are an almost pinkish mauve, opening on a true blue flower that pollinators can't seem to get tired of. Although there would be many more blue plants to talk about in this garden, I'll end this video with one of the most remarkable and maybe my favorite blue of all, Hydrangea macrophylla Nikko Blue. Of course, to get this blue, you'll either have to plant it in an acidic soil or just add aluminum sulfate to the roots once or twice a year to keep it this beautiful sky blue. The flowers start with a lot of greenish white in the center and will eventually become all blue before fading to paler blue before drying. So you'll get to see a variety of colors and stages on the same plant at the same time, which I find so charming and magical. Because after all, isn't that perpetual birth, evolution, and decay and rebirth the essence of the garden as well as the essence of life?
La luna, make me an ocean, back forth just like my emotions. La luna, stay by my side, don't leave me like the changing tide. I've been chasing beauty and painted gold, but I found the real me in clouds of smoke. And I had a revelation, I should really have more patience. But then I look at the time and I notice I'm behind. La luna, make me of the desert, I've been searching for a treasure. Walking towards the sunset, I'm surprised I